Senate needs to come back to order. Where's Larry Walker? Where's Larry Walker? Here, let's just let. Recognize Senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask unanimous consent that House Bill 139 be taken from the table.
The senators move that 139 be taken from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 139 by Representative Crowe, the 118th, and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 16 of Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to discovery and criminal procedure so as to provide for restrictions of the disclosure of certain personally identifiable information of non-sworn employees of a law enforcement agency who are witnesses in felony and misdemeanor criminal cases. The Committee of the Senate on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District. Chairman, that completes the order, Mr. President.
There's no objection. I recognize the senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great bill. Years ago, you remember, we made sure that public would not have easy access to information for our law enforcement. This includes retired as well as non-sworn law enforcement personnel. If there are no questions, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. All those in favor of the measure will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize Senator from the 20th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the Senate adhere to its disagreement on House Bill 557 and that a conference committee be appointed.
The senator has moved. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 557 by Representative Stevens of the 164th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 34 of Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to physicians, assistants, and others so as to authorize physicians to delegate the authority to advanced practice registered nurses and physician assistants to prescribe Schedule II controlled substances. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senators move that a conferee committee be appointed for House Bill 557. So I will appoint the senator from the 20th, the senator from the 32nd, and the senator from the 52nd to a conference committee. Is there objection? Without objection, those will be the conferees. Recognize the senator from the 29th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that House Bill 88 be taken off the table.
Senators move that House Bill 88 be removed from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 88 by Representative Gaines of the 120th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to criminal procedures so as to enact the Coleman-Baker Act, to provide a short title, to provide for definitions, to provide for a review of cold case murder files by law enforcement agencies, to provide for application of review, to provide for limitations of review. The Committee of the Senate on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. Senate Judiciary Committee offers the following substitute to House Bill 88, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to criminal procedures so as to enact the Coleman-Baker Act, to provide a short title, to provide for definitions, to provide for review of cold case murder files by law enforcement agencies. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 29th. Speak to the motion.
Friends and colleagues, I'm here to speak on a bill that had one of the toughest paths to follow that a bill has to follow inside of this building. This bill passed through the judicial committees on the House side and passed through the scrutinization of the Judiciary Committee in the Georgia State Senate. This is the bill, the Coleman-Baker Act. This bill is very straightforward, and this bill is very necessary. And if you don't appreciate the necessity of this legislation, then do me a favor and think about somebody that means the world to you. Whether it be a child, whether it be your mother, your father, whether it be a spouse or a sibling. That person's here for 1 minute, and the next minute they're gone. And you don't know why. And you don't know who's responsible for taking them. And that is the life of an individual who has to live with a relative, a loved one, who is the victim of a violent crime that takes their life, and nobody knows who is responsible. There are individuals in this room who experience that. They wake up each and every day with a hole in their heart, not understanding why it's there, not understanding who's to blame, not understanding what justice is. And what the Coleman-Baker Act does is it establishes a structure for those victim families to reach out to the law enforcement agencies that are responsible for investigating those homicides, those murders, and asking them, after 3 years of no resolution, to please look into that case, look for new evidence, look for things that may have been missed. Ask those law enforcement agencies to put fresh eyes on those cases. And those law enforcement agencies have the opportunity to look at the case and see if there are opportunities to discover new evidence and maybe to find new suspects. And if not, the law enforcement agency lets the family know after an investigation, after an overview of the evidence from the initial investigation as to whether there is a path forward. There's nothing in here that forces the law enforcement agency to open up a new investigation if they do not see a path forward. And what I'm asking you to do is to vote on a piece of legislation that allows law enforcement agencies to review the cases, allows law enforcement agencies to communicate with the victims' families, and allows the Carl Vinson Institute at the University of Georgia to track cold cases throughout the state of Georgia. And while you are in this chamber, those of you who are listening to this legislation, I appreciate. And those of you who are not, I may not necessarily. But the one person that I do appreciate that's here is Chandler Baker, who's sitting up in the gallery, because she wants to know what happened to her sister-in-law. She wants to bring justice not only to her husband, but to her in-laws, so that they will know, and they will never know why. They'll never understand completely why someone would do something like that, but at least they will move a little closer to resolution. And this legislation gives them that opportunity. Mr. President, I'll yield for any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Senator has yielded. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. The question is on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Recognize the senator from the 52nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that the Senate remove House Bill 295 from the table.
The senator has requested that House Bill 295 be removed from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 295 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance so as to revise certain procedures, timelines, and other matters concerning consumer protections against surprise billing, to provide grounds for new violations of unfair claims settlement practices, to provide for payments by insurers, to provide for commissioner authority, to provide for penalties. The Committee of the Senate on Insurance and Labor recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Walker of the 20th District Chairman. Senator Hofstetler of the 52nd offers the following amendment, Amendment 1, to amend House Bill 295 by deleting or facility on lines 36, 37, 39, 44, 45, and 62. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 52nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. We passed surprise billing several years ago. Since then, the federal government actually passed their own that we were waiting on for many years. And the other thing that happens is the ERISA plans. The Supreme Court in 2017 said that the state could not regulate those. So some of them are ERISA plans, some of them are state plans. Since then, we've had a problem where maybe they weren't all identified which was it. I think Blue Cross has actually done a really fine job of identifying those for us. Not everybody has gotten that right, so this says they have to identify it. The second thing is that the insurance commissioner has asked that we change some of those from 15 days to 30 days and some of those from 30 days to 60 days to help them out, and we've agreed to that. And then the third thing that's in there is a penalty. We've had one hospital group, you can probably guess which one it is, that has clogged the system up with asking for corrections on surprise bills without providing any data, any follow-up. And so this was done in the fall before all this happened, but the bill now says that if you do that, the insurance commissioner can give you a $2,000 fine, and if you do it knowingly, they can give a $5,000 fine so that people aren't sending frivolous claims in. And again, there's only one hospital group that's been doing that. Those are three changes. Also on the amendment in the agreement was that we would take our facility out in those lines. It's been agreed to by the House, and they will agree to it when it goes back over. If there's no questions, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on the adoption of the amendment. Adoption of Amendment 1, authored by the senator who is carrying the bill. Is there objection? Without objection, Amendment 1 is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Recognize the senator from the 17th. What purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 20th for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 20th is excused. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor of the bill vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, yeas are 52, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Recognize the senator from the 46 for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we remove House Bill 543 from the table.
Senators move that HB 543 be taken from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 543 by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 15-12-122 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to demand of jury panels from which to select jury in civil actions in the state courts and the superior courts, so as to revise an exception to 6-person jury trials in civil actions. Senate Judiciary offers the following substitute to House Bill 543, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 15-12-122 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to demand of jury panels from which to select jury in civil actions in the state courts and the superior courts, so as to revise an exception to 6-person jury trials in civil actions. That completes the order, Mr. President.
No objection. I recognize the senator from the 46.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is a bill that deals with trials in the state courts in our state. State courts handle civil cases and misdemeanor criminal cases. In lower courts like magistrate court and up to $25,000 in dispute in state court, there are only 6-person juries involved in state court, and of course just a judge in the magistrate court. This is to increase the amount of money so you will have a 6-person jury up to a dispute over $50,000. Will require fewer jurors, speed up the judicial process, and in any significant case worth more than $50,000, you'll still have your constitutional right to a 12-person jury. Mr. President, if there are no questions, I'll yield the well and urge your
There's no
favorable
questions, Senator.
consideration.
No questions, Senator. None. Does any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Questions on the adoption of the committee substitute. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 51, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. Recognize the senator from the 37th. Recognize the senator from the 37th.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to suspend Senate Rule 2.83 with respect to conference committee timelines on the desk so that a bill might be called and acted on by this body.
The senator from the 37th has moved that Senate rules be suspended for conference committee Secretary, read the caption.
Committees of Conference substitute to House Bill 142, a bill being entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to campus policemen, so as to provide for the establishment of unified campus police forces through agreements entered into by colleges and universities, to provide for definitions, to provide for arrest powers, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from. Okay. Is there we're just suspending the rules. Is there objection to suspending the rules? Without objection, rules are suspended. Recognize the senator from the 37th again.
Mr. President, I move we adopt the Conference Committee report on House Bill 142.
Senators move that we adopt the Conference Committee report. Is there objection? Without objection. All those in favor of the motion will vote yea, opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 49, the nays are 0. Motion has prevailed. And recognize the senator from the 11th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 8th.
Okay. Without objection, the senator from the 8th is excused. Recognize the senator from the 46th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate disagree to the House amendment to Senate substitute to House Bill 196.
The senators move that the Senate disagree with the House substitute to HB 196. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 196 by Representative Powell of the 33rd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to access to medical cannabis. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator from the 13th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to the Senate sub to House Bill 196.
Agree as amended, is that what you said? I think it's just agree, Senator. His motion, Senator from the 46, his motion takes precedence of yours. So Senator from 13th, recognize you to speak to the measure. All right, we're gonna have to quiet it down a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have to quiet it down. Those unauthorized personnel, we're gonna have to ask you to either exit the chambers or try to be respectful of what's going on here.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, before you, you have Senate bill, House bill, and everything is confused. But the reality of it is, just look for 196, House Bill 196. Let me tell you about this bill so you know what you'll be voting on and make sure we get it right. House Bill 196 is two bills in one. House bill is the medical cannabis bill, and House bill on page 40 is the hemp bill that we tried to get passed through this chamber that we just got some confusion on. Let me tell you what's going on so you'll know. The House Bill 196 addresses the medical cannabis issue in this state to approach and move the medical cannabis beyond the broken promises that we've been giving people. It is a vehicle to settle the pending legal actions and fulfill it as soon as practical and deliver the medicine to the citizens of Georgia, which has curtailed the suffering on a daily basis. Let me tell you what this bill does as we follow through it. I'm going to hit the high points so we'll know what we're talking about. It abolishes the Cannabis Commission and transfers the function to the Agriculture Department, where the responsibility of an elected official who is accountable to the people of this state can administer this program in an open and transparent manner. Let me say this right now. We have no control over the Cannabis Commission. We give them $1 million+ and they answer to no one. we want to put this to the Agriculture Department, the Commissioner of Agriculture, who is elected by the state of people, who we know will be transparent. Number two, the division of the Agriculture Department will be subject to the Administrative Procedures Act and Open Records Act. No more secrecy when it comes to business. No more secrecy and unelected bureaucracy. Number three, appeals from the decision of this administration agency will be made to the Georgia Statewide Business Court. That means it moves fast and gets done. A license will be available to have additional transparency at the production facility. That means a licensee can have a license to sell the stuff at the place where they make the darn stuff. A dispensary can sell it and any other licensed facility product at its dispensary. This will help the retail network for our patients and our constituents. A joint and robust oversight committee is established involving many members of various House and Senate committees. The Agriculture Commissioner will mediate with 9 companies that have protested and are currently litigating, which has been held up for about 4.5 years.
Senator, I'm paused. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your attention. We have a senator in the well right now, and he is addressing a pretty serious matter. I need your attention. All authorized personnel, we need you to exit the chamber. Hate to be like this, but I've asked you multiple times now. Senator, floor is yours.
I will start back on my seventh Note, the agriculture will mediate with the 9 companies that have protested and are currently litigating with the Georgia Medical Cannabis Commission. The commissioner would be authorized but not obligated, let me repeat that, not obligated to issue additional licenses as a resolution to this mediation. If that occurs, litigations will be dropped. This has been going on 4.5 years, folks. I didn't even get here when this started happening. Number 8, the commissioner will also have the discretion, but not the obligation, to issue additional licenses as organic growth in the registry occurs. The maximum number of licenses that a commissioner could issue would be maxed out at 20, which I promise you we won't get there, but he's got a max of 20, which will be compared to other states is far lower than any other states with license numbers. But again, the commissioner is not required to give one more license, not one more license. Number 9, the vesting of this discretion of the agriculture commissioner will allow him and his team and experts to ensure a healthy and fair market which brings this much needed medication to all the Georgia citizens and keeps it affordable. It ensures that Georgia's small business, now hear me now, including minority-owned businesses, are not left out in the cold and they're not forced to close their doors with all the stringent rules and regulations. And let me tell you something, folks. The hemp bill goes on and says you got to be 21 years and older to buy this stuff. Now, right now, any number, whether you're 8, 10, 12, 14, or 15, you can walk in and buy it. We're going to put it on there where you do not you have to be 21 years or older to buy this material. Hear me on this. We need controls of this industry. We need controls. This gives us the controls that we need. It outlines all the medications in here. It outlines all the things that we can treat in here and what it can be transferred to. This bill is a solid bill that came over from the House, and I think it only fell by like 13 votes over there. It's a solid bill that moves this state forward. Folks, we have been promising folks medical cannabis since I don't know how long. It is time for us to get off the pot and deliver. And it's time for us to have a commission, an agriculture commission, take it away from a commission that doesn't answer to us. We're putting the money in, and we have absolutely no say-so in this business. We need to make a change. And I will tell you this, last condition is, we have got to make sure that when we do these things here, we do these things the correct way. Other states have done this. They are succeeding in their message, and they're getting their medication to people. There is no reason Georgia can't be as effective. I ask you to please vote for this bill, pass this bill, move this forward. If we need to tweak this bill, I will gladly be the one to stand up here and tell you we need to tweak this bill. Gladly. And I will do whatever it takes to make sure we get it right. But let me tell you one more thing. This would have been handled a while back, but our previous agriculture commissioner wanted nothing to do with it. And we had absolutely nowhere to go with it. That's where the Cannabis Commission came in. Now we have an agriculture bureau who's one of our own, who's willing to take this on, put the people in place, fix it, make it happen, and deliver on a promise. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll live with it well. I'll ask no question. I know we're tired. I know it's a long night. I know the bill's long. You haven't had time to go through it. But I'm asking you to vote green to pass this bill. Mr. President, if no question, I yield well.
You do have some questions, Senator.
Yes, sir.
Recognize the senator from the 45th.
Mr. President, I was just wanting to excuse the senator from the 48th at the appropriate time.
That sounded good to me, Bob.
All right. Well, with no objection, I think he'll be excused. Recognize the senator from the 29th.
Senator Yield.
Yes, sir.
Senator, did I hear you say that this bill expands the opportunity for more licenses in Georgia?
Yes, sir. I said it gives the agriculture commissioner the ability to expand it up to 20 licenses, but he does not have to issue one more license if our registry does not grow.
So, Senator, why would we not wait to see if our registry grows any before we would expand this to 20?
I'll assure you he will wait and do it. But I will say this to you, Senator. We only have like 25 to 27,000 people on the registry right now because we have been promising people for 4 or 5 years to let them get this medication. The moment this is available, I'll assure you that registry is going to jump up probably into hundreds of thousands, if not close to 1 million or more.
Is it not true, does Senator continue
Go
to
ahead.
yield? Senator, is it not true that once we make anything available that people are going to line up to get it? Because I do believe, Senator, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when we first passed this legislation, we had a limited number of conditions that this product could be used for, and there have been many attempts to expand those conditions. Is that not true?
Senator, I was not here when y'all first passed this 4.5 years ago. I can't speak to that.
Senator, yield for one last question?
Yes, sir.
Senator, do you know how many Georgians could be treated by 20 licensees?
Well, as you well know, we've said at many committee meetings, we've heard various numbers on that. I'll assure you this right here. From what I know about the industry, it will take more than the 4 or 5 licenses that we have available in Georgia under the current law that we passed to treat what's going on. Because these folks, Mr. Senator, they are not ready to produce medical marijuana because of what it takes to get it to the point from start to finish to fruition. And right now, we need other people in this, and we don't need to let maybe just 4 or 5 people monopolize this. 4 or 5 companies. And most of those companies, except one that I know of, are from Canada and from out of state. This is Georgia-grown stuff I'm trying to work with.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Mr. President, no question. I yield the will.
You have one last question. Senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator, my good friend, do you yield?
Appropriations Chairman, absolutely.
Senator, you know I have a lot of respect for you, and I appreciate what you try to do for South Georgia, but how many new licenses could there be?
So, I'm sorry, sir.
How many new licenses could this bill allow?
It will allow up to 20 total, not new licenses, but up to 20. But let me repeat again. The Agriculture Commission not has to issue a license, not a new license.
I thought I heard you say that. Will the Senator further yield?
Go.
So the Agricultural Commissioner would have sole discretion as to whether or not to issue a new license?
His board, with senators on the board, with representatives on the board, and members on the board. That's how the Agriculture Commission is going to set it up.
Senator, I guess I won't speak to it. I say the reason that I can't support your bill, agree as amended, is because I think putting that much power with one person is just, you would only do that if you don't really care about them, because even the power that we've had levied on us about gambling in here, marijuana and cannabis is going to be 10 times that. And that power, I am too good of friends and respect the Agriculture Commissioner enough to put that type of power in such a small few hands. I can't do that to him.
Mr. Chairman, I will respond to that by telling you this. Right now, we have the power resting in a cannabis commission that we have absolutely no control over. We don't know. They don't answer to us. They don't return calls. They don't do anything. And you're, as appropriate chairman, are appropriating money to a cannabis commission that we have absolutely no say-so in. I think that's ludicrous.
Senator, you have a few more questions, but you're welcome to yield the well.
Let's vote on it, Mr. Go ahead. Whatever. I'll take another one.
All right. Senator from the 39th.
Senator, do you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
So it seems to me that we keep coming back to this question of the competitive bids from way back when. We now have 2 licenses that have been issued to production, correct? And I see in here in lines 738 through 741, going back to the fact that the Ag Commissioner, if this bill passes, would have sole discretion to not just provide new licenses, but actually engage in mediation with the applicants that participated in the original competitive applications process. In a normal competitive bidding process, is it not true that you win or you lose, you can sue, and then whatever happens with that, which lawsuits are in process right now, then you either win it or you don't, but you don't then get to come to the front of the line ahead of everybody else when you lost a process?
Senator knows of what she speaks, and I will expand on that, by the way. Under this license, the way this bill is written, if we negotiate with the ones that protested, then that could be settled and we could get on with making the product it needs to be done. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator, you have another question, but you're welcome to yield the well anytime, Senator.
I'll take one more. I'm trying.
You got 2 hours until it's midnight, so
I'll yield it one more. Give me yield it.
probably be wise, Senator.
Thank you, Senators. Please vote for this bill. We got to move this forward. Vote green. Thank you.
I recognize the senator from the 46th to speak. God dang.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senators, my motion was going to be to disagree so that we could go to conference and see what's in this bill and see if we could resolve our differences in it. I believe I heard the senator from the 13th just say this is 53 pages, I don't know what all's in it, and then went on to say the parts that he did know. We are known as a deliberative body. This is making a mockery of deliberations. You will remember back before crossover day, parts of this bill were on our floor, the hemp bill, and it was such a disaster, it ended up being reconsidered, being tabled, never got out of this chamber. I haven't been able, this has been on our desk literally maybe 2 minutes before it was called up. 3 minutes, I hadn't had a chance to even read it. I can tell looking at it that it adds a whole nother bill on hemp regulation. It also vastly changes the bill that we just passed out of here a couple of days ago. We asked the Department of Agriculture to review the rules, the regulations, the licensing, the usage of medical marijuana, to see what was the best path going forward. We don't even know if the Department of Agriculture wants this responsibility yet. We are now destroying, we are abolishing a commission that we established that worked for 4 years and finally issued the licenses, 2 of them who are now up and running and claim they will have the product on the shelves by June, and have tentatively issued the other 4 licenses that are being litigated. And we anticipate that litigation will finish up about the time the Department of Agriculture tells us the best way forward, whether he even wants to license this, engage in it, test all these products, do the different things that might be asked. It seems so unfair to us to just unilaterally now go abolish a commission without any hearings on that, to ever let one member of the commission come testify where they are, what they've done, what they think. This does exactly what the senator from the 39th said. It stops, it circumvents the judicial process, throws all these 9 cases out of court and says, y'all are going to mediation now with the Department of Agriculture. What experience in any other area does the Department of Agriculture have in mediations or rendering decisions? They never got to even consider any of the applications that these 69 companies submitted. And what about the others, 63 of them that didn't litigate? Do they get to come back to the table and be mediated themselves? No, they are out. We punish those people that didn't sue. And we reward the ones that sued, but we don't trust our own court system that is hearing those cases right now. We say that our Department of Agriculture is more suited to resolve people's disputes than our court system. What are we doing? understand where these ideas came from. But I can tell you this, they never came through our committee process. None of this bill, other than a few aspects of what I'm hearing now, I hadn't had a chance to read on the hemp, came through our committee. We didn't contemplate destroying a commission that we ourselves created just a few years ago and totally replacing them with a department that we hadn't heard from to see if they want to do this regulation.
Senator, I didn't ask you.
Okay. As far as the 20 licenses, let me refresh you. When we passed this bill out a few days ago, we made a point, I let you know that the folks that testified in our committee, in the Regulated Industries Committee, the 2 Type 1 licensees and several of the Type 2 licensees were there. And they all agreed that just the 2 Type 1 alone can produce enough low THC oil to treat 600,000 patients. And it's going to be on the shelves this June. The other 4 Class 2 licensees could probably handle the same amount. So we don't need 20 licenses. 6 can produce enough for 1.2 million, some say as many as 2 million patients. And you know how many we have? 26,000. We already have enough production for 20 times the patients that are listed, that are signed up on the registry. So why are we doing this? Why do we think that we as a legislative body are smarter than the court system or smarter than the commission that we appointed? Our own governor and lieutenant governor and speaker appointed these people to the commission to make these decisions. It is crazy. And so all this motion is really doing is either trying to pass out a bill that more than likely ought to be vetoed for being so ill-considered, makes us look like a bunch of clowns in here for passing something out without any deliberation on it at all, and just sticks it to the court system saying we don't trust our own court system to come up with a reasonable resolution to these disputes over the licenses. I urge you to vote no on this motion to agree, and if we're going to do something of this significance, let's do it right. I'm happy to take any questions, Mr. President, or I'll yield the will.
You do have one question. Senator from the 2nd.
Thank you. Does the senator yield?
I do yield.
Senator, I heard your oral arguments here about trusting our judicial system. Senator, would you agree that this body, in fact, does not trust our judicial system, and that's why we have passed so many mandatory minimums to tie the hands of those judges making those decisions, and in fact, that means we do not trust those judges?
Touche on that we want to make certain that they see the significance of the crimes the way we do. And that's why we give the boundaries, the minimums, and the maximums for the penalty, and leave them to decide there in between.
Senator, you have no further questions.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Senator from the 31st, what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, at the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion.
You'd like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table HB 196.
The motion is in order. Is there objection? All those in favor of the motion will vote yea. All opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to table, the yeas are 22 and the nays are 30, and the motion has failed. So we will continue debate. I recognize the senator from the 37th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, the hour is late, but I do want to remind us of something and caution this body on the proposition before us. As the senator from the 46th so clearly said, we've got a bill of 54 pages, over 1,300 lines that's not been through the committee process in this deliberative chamber. But what we have heard in the debate tonight is the discussion of concentrating in the Agricultural Commissioner the power to take from 6 or so licenses and expand up to 20 licenses. Now, when you think about this, you think about our state of Georgia. We recognize agriculture as the #1 industry in our state. We lead in peanuts and blueberries. We're big in cotton. We can go through all the poultry industry here. The importance of our agriculture commissioner is really hard to really capture in the state of Georgia. What I'm concerned about here is what the gentleman from the senator from the 19th alluded to in his question is what we're doing by concentrating power in the agriculture commissioners. This proposal would suggest that we do is we would take an agricultural commissioner role, which is an important statewide position, and we would create incentives for the marijuana industry to put their person in that job. Now, the former senator from the 7th, who's our current agriculture commissioner, served in this body, served very credibly, has an expertise, as we well know, in what we recognize as traditional agriculture. Many of you here, that's your main livelihood. But if we vest this power in the agriculture commissioner, we're no longer going to have an agriculture commissioner. The money that's going to rush into the statewide race of agriculture commissioner to win the prize, of taking this seat, will take the seat which is now the agriculture commissioner and turn it into what will effectively be the marijuana commissioner. I don't think we want the millions of dollars that would rush into statewide elections around this commissioner to be driven by marijuana interests instead of agriculture interests. Agriculture is the industry that our state was founded on. It's what brought us to the dance. And I think it's way, way, way too important to our state to create incentives that the marijuana candidates could wash aside all the folks who really know ag. Think about our previous 2 agriculture commissioners and how they contributed and are contributing in such a powerful way. I think this proposal, which is put before us tonight at this very late hour, is not only hasty but dangerous. And I'd ask members to vote no on this version of House Bill 196. Be glad to take questions, Mr. President.
You do have a question, Senator. Senator from the 2nd.
Does the senator yield?
Yes, sir.
Senator, since we've been in session, we've had a litany of bills that have been offered to amendments of other bills and asked the chair for a ruling on the germaneness of that bill. So is it not true that it is, in fact, a practice of this body to move massive amounts of legislation at such a late hour? Is that not true?
Well, I would tell you, as a deliberative body, I think we should all be cautioned to the extent that happens. And I think when we've got something like this, that the dollars that are in play are as big as they are, that something as important as our agriculture industry and the leader of our industry is going to be subject to millions of dollars of out-of-state marijuana investment to win the prize of what would effectively become a marijuana commissioner. I think this body would be wise to reject this proposal. And with that, Mr. President, I'll yield the will.
Senators yielded well. I recognize the senator from the 19th.
Members, thank you for letting me speak on this, on House Bill 196. I try to only come to the well when I think it's important, an issue like the budget, or an issue I think is going to affect something constitutionally. This is one of those issues. What this bill allows is 20 additional licenses. And I heard my friend from the 13th say, no, it's only if he gives them. Really? What do you think the pressure is going to be on that individual? Which, if you look, it's only been on your desk for 30 minutes, but if you take a look and read it really carefully and you decide you want to flip yourself to about page 16, I didn't get to write down the page numbers because it hadn't been there long enough. You'll see that it's based with one person, not a board. One person. It's a bill we've debated for years, and I've heard the argument now that this gets it out to people. Well, we've already got 2 licenses getting it out to people. That process is working, and I'll tell you, I'm the first to tell you that I've had issues with the Cannabis Commission. Our body has struck their budget. We have worked to try to make that better, and we now have 2 licenses working. So why should you take this bill as seriously as you take other measures when we speak here? Let's use 2 scenarios. One, do you not like the agricultural commissioner? Do you not like him? If you don't like the agricultural commissioner, you should vote no to this bill because this gives him extreme power. He can pick the licensees. He decides if they're going to get a license. If you don't like him, you shouldn't vote for this bill. The second group of people who should vote against this bill are the people who like the agriculture commissioner. And here's why. You're about to give him incredible pressure. You felt the pressure that this building's had on things like gambling and casinos and horse racing. And you felt those pressures on you. And you've had to make your decision. If you do not think the money in this industry is 10 times that weight, you've never been in this building. And we got to disperse that weight and that pressure over 56 of us. You're about to put that weight and that pressure on one person. That's not fair to them. So what I ask, if you're in the category that doesn't like the commissioner, you vote no. And if you're in the category that likes the commissioner, you should vote no too. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I look at a bill like this, I wonder how we go back to our constituents and say we had it on our desk, a major bill we had less than 30 minutes to even look at, that's not gone through the committee process. How can we say that to our people that trust us to make wise decisions and to rush into something like this? What the senator from the 19th said, we take it from a commission to one person. That is not responsible. I believe we need to say no to this right now. We need to hold with it and take the time to do it properly and not rush through something of this magnitude that has implications to our children, to our families. And if you've got 2 units that can already do 600,000, that's $1.2 million in my math. I think we need to walk through and walk carefully through this bill and not vote on it tonight and say no to it and work through it. That's my portion. Thank you, sir.
Senators yielded the well. Recognize the senator from the 47th.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, one of the things that for me, I want to let everybody in here know, I'm adamantly opposed to the use of recreational marijuana. I think it would be a terrible thing because it would open up the courts for all kind of litigation and stop our business in our community. At the same token, I've been pushing for years to try to get the medicinal use of marijuana or some byproduct of it for years. And I know that we've got a lot of new people that have changed faces in here since the little over 4 years ago. But some of y'all that are in the Republican caucus, I know for sure, and probably some of y'all in the Democrat caucus, because I'm willing to bet he went to both caucuses. Said, but Governor Deal came to us on the last day that we were in legislature, in session, his last year that he was governor. I believe that would have been like 2019 or something. And he talked about his business partner and friend that's wife had terrible seizures, had seizures for years and years and years. They had means. They went to all kinds of medical facilities. They checked everything they could do. Eventually, somebody told them, they said, hey, why don't you go try this in Colorado? And took the oil from cannabis and came back and never had any migraines from that point forward. And for me, I'm not a doctor. I was terrible in biology and chemistry. But we passed the legislation that day to help put this oil out there for people. We created a commission. We created a bureaucracy, unfortunately, and it seems to be that way. And I will tell you, I'm not a lawyer, but there's a lot of lawyers involved in this. Our ag commissioner, my fraternity brother, my former suite mate, supports this, said going to him. He can withstand the pressure of whatever it takes. For me, I'm going to ask each of y'all to help give some relief to those people that need relief. We know it's a situation where we can't import it from another state, but it's something that we need to be able to provide to those people that need it medically here in Georgia. And I want to try to help them get that relief and get that done. So I'll ask you to vote in favor of this bill, whatever it takes for us to get production. The bureaucracies that we've been dealing with are holding back those people that need help. So I'll ask you to vote green on this bill. Thank you.
Senators yield. I recognize the senator from the 30th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be quick, because how seriously can you take somebody wearing a seersucker suit and a pink bow tie? Hey, like 6 times medical marijuana has come for this body since I've been here. 6 times I have voted in favor of. Because I look at the challenges we've had with the kids, with adults with debilitating diseases, and I have said, let's do everything we can to help support those. This will not be the 7th time. I will vote no on this bill. The commission that set up the Cannabis Commission, they were terrible. They were probably one of the most disorganized entities that we've ever had. But what we don't want to do is compound the problem by rushing through a bad piece of legislation right here. And I understand, for those of you saying, let's get the product out, remember, we are getting the product out. There is product coming out on this. We are going to be able to get to those kids, and that's, honestly, that has been my main focus area, the medicines they need to help treat their symptoms without making a further mess on these other licenses. If it's that important and we can treat those easily with the amount that we're putting out right now, let's be patient and look at the best way to move this thing going forward. I do think the Cannabis Commission needs to be absolved. But we ought to be real careful on how we're doing this. So that's why I'm going to vote no on this bill.
Senators yielded well. Senator from the 28th.
Thank you, Mr. President. There haven't been a bigger advocate in this chamber over the last 6 years for medical marijuana. And I stand before you, and I'll be honest, I was torn on whether I wanted to come down here. Because this is a process. We all know this is a process, and it's a tough process. And the laws that we put forward 5 years ago to form this commission, we had no idea it would take this long. Had no idea. We were hoping we'd have it out within a year and a half, 2 years, and it didn't happen. And when the commission finally got their act together, and they finally put out their notice of intent to make the awards for these licenses, and yes, it was a flawed process. It was a very flawed process, and part of it was our fault, because we had a flawed law. We put forward a flawed law that put forward a flawed process. And here we are again. We're not going to do it once, but we're going to do it twice. There are two flawed bills combined together that we're being asked to vote on. We heard testimony. Let's talk specifically on the hemp piece. There are small businesses out there that we are about to put out of business if we pass this. And when we talk about the medical marijuana side and we talk about why medicine's not on shelves, well, guess what? It would have been in there a year ago. We would have medicine on the shelves if these court cases were done. But they're not. They're being dragged out. They're in appeals. And that is why we don't have medicine on the shelves. There's no other reason. And it pains me to come down here and talk about this because I have friends that have applied. And I want them to get it. I wanted them to get it then, but they didn't. And now they've asked for their day in court. They have asked for a judge to make a decision. And we're taking that away. And not only that, now we're about to give standing to the next group of folks, the next group of people that filed, that applied for this. We're about to give them standing so that they can sue. So are we going to come back next year and add 20 more? Because if you watch what happened in Florida, that's pretty much what happened. Look, we spent a lot of time on a study committee to put forward a law, and a lot of that stuff was entailed. It was put into what we passed out of this chamber and what we passed out of this Capitol. A lot of that was put in. A lot of it was left out. Some of that through the Senate process and through a committee sub, when the Senate did have input, some of that was put back in. Recommendations that we had made 6 years ago from that study committee. And now they're all taken out. The Senate had zero input on this. Again, going back to that study committee, I insisted 6 years ago that it be, and no pun intended, but it be a joint study committee of both chambers, House and Senate, so that we could both have input. We were about to go to conference on this bill so that both chambers could have input. But now we've lost that, and now we have to vote on this. Again, we put a flawed law out there 5 years ago, and we've seen the issues that it has caused, and now we're about to do it 2 more times with 1 vote. It's bad policy, y'all.
Senators yielded well. I recognize the majority leader.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, I move the question.
Senators move, call the question. Is there objection? Without objection, the question is ordered. The question is from the senator for the 13 on his amendment to the Senate substitute on House Bill 196. All those in favor of his sub will vote yea. All those opposed I recognize the senator from 46. To what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that if we vote down this motion and vote my motion to disagree, we send it back to the House and give them a chance to recede, or else to insist in us have a quick conference committee and do some sensible legislation here? Either of those two options wins. Voting yes for this loses.
That is correct in the fact that we take up your motion after we address the senator from the 13th motion. Senator is correct. Back to the original motion. Senator from 53rd, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
If we do go to a conference committee, considering the late hour, and to my understanding, it has to be in our desk for 2 hours, will we have time for a conference committee?
Unless you can suspend the rules. But if you don't suspend the rules, yes, it says for 2 hours. Okay, here we go. All those in favor of the Senator's 13th amendment will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Recognize the senator from 46.
Agree. Isn't it true that a red vote here gives these children a chance to get the medicine by June?
Senator is passionate about what he speaks. On the motion to only agree to the House amendment to the Senate substitute, the yeas are 28 and the nays are 26, and this motion has failed. Senator from the 13th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I ask for a recount, please.
Reconsideration.
Motion recount. Motion reconsider, recount.
All right. The senator has moved for reconsideration. Senator for the second, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, do we not have to vote on the underlying motion before a motion to reconsider? Since there's another motion, a subsequent motion on the table?
We just did, Senator.
I meant on the disagree as amended.
No, sir. He's reconsidering his vote on there. So those are who the motion is for reconsideration. Those who are in favor of reconsideration will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 20th, for what purpose do you rise?
Isn't it true, Mr. President, that we're killing a lot of potential other bills with this long drug out thing on the
If the idea was to kill time, we're doing a good job of it, Senator. On the motion to reconsideration, the yeas are 27, the nays are 28, and the motion has failed. Now it goes to the senator from the 46, his motion. His motion is to disagree to the House position, but he is given time to speak in the well on it, on this issue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be quick since we've debated this pretty thoroughly. I think most people have been heard. Please vote with me to disagree to the House position, and let's send it back to them and see if they will either recede and accept this bill so we can make progress on medical marijuana, or if they will disagree so that we can try to have a quick conference committee, see if there's any common ground, and waive the rule if need be so that we can get something done this time. I think this is the way to go. That's a totally new bill that we weren't familiar with at all. It has a lot of new concepts, a lot of things we don't understand. Perhaps they can explain them in a conference. So please join with me to disagree to the House amendment to our bill, House Bill 196. I yield the well. Let's try to work on some other bills.
Senators yielded well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Question on the House Bill 196. The senator from the 46 has disagreed to the House amendment to the Senate substitute. All those in favor of his motion will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, lock the machine. On the passage of the motion, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 2, and the motion to disagree has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate adhere to the Senate amendment to the House substitute to Senate Bill 13 and a conference committee be appointed.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 13 by Senator Alberts of the 56 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Sections 9-13-161, 44-14-162, and 48-4-1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to where and when sales under execution held, and change of place of public sales by court order, sales made on foreclosure under power of sale, and procedures for sales under tax levies and executions respectively, so as to authorize online public sales under tax levies and executions. The committee... That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senators move that the Senate adhere to its amendment to Senate Bill 13 and that a conference committee be appointed. Conferees shall be Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the conferees will be the senator from the 56th, senator from the 17th, and senator from the 19th. Recognize the senator from the 18th for a motion on Senate Bill 246. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a senator from. I'm sorry, Senator. It's the senator from the 3rd. They had it written down wrong. So.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to adhere to the Senate amendment to the House substitute to Senate Bill 246 and ask that a conference committee be appointed.
Senators move that the Senate adhere to Senate Bill 246 and that a conference committee be appointed. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 246 by Senator Hodges III and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 10 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to the Georgia Board of Healthcare workforce so as to provide for student loan repayment for certain nursing faculty, to provide for definitions, to authorize the board to approve applications, to provide for eligibility requirements, to provide for continued eligibility requirements. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator has moved. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, conferees will be the senator from the 18th, the senator from the 3rd, and the senator from the 4th. I recognize the senator from the 45th for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to lift HB 353 from the table.
Senator has asked that HB 353 be taken from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 353 by Representative Powell of the 33rd and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated the Georgia Lottery for Education Act so as to provide that administrative procedures and actions regarding bona fide coin-operated amusement machines. The Committee of the Senate on Economic Development and Tourism recommends that this bill do pass by substitute, respectively submitted by Senator Beach of the 21st District Chairman. Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism offers the following substitute to House Bill 353, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 27 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated the Georgia Lottery for Education Act so as to provide that administrative procedures and actions regarding bona fide coin-operated amusement machines.
4 amendments. Let's peel them all.
Senator Cowser of the 46th District and others offer the following amendment, Amendment 1, to amend House Bill 353 by striking lines 91 through 111. Senator Cowser of the 46th and others offer the following amendment, Amendment 2, to amend the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism substitute to House Bill 353 by adding subsections A and B and after revising on line 243. Senator Parent of the 42nd and others offer the following amendment, Amendment 3, to amend the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism substitute to House Bill 353 by replacing line 21 with the following Section 50-27-9 relating to powers of the Georgia Lottery Corporation and adding a new subsection to read as follows. Senator Dixon of the 45th offers the following amendment, Amendment 4, to amend the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism substitute to House Bill 353 by replacing lines 4 through 15 with the following Title 50 to provide for an effective date to provide for related. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Senator has moved. Is it without objection? I'll recognize the senator from the 45th to speak to the bill. Before you get started there, I want to recognize the former mayor of Augusta, Georgia, and former state senator, our good friend Hardy Davis, is up here today. So, he was always so good to me when he was here in the state senate. I just knew he'd get me on the Augusta Nationals when we became mayor. So, didn't happen though, but that's all right. I still love him. So, glad to have you here, Senator. Recognize the senator from the 45th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I bring HB 353 before you today. I'm the Senate sponsor of this bill. I'm also the Senate sponsor of Amendment number 4. The original bill, it had 8 things that it did. It allowed for a gift card for redemption. It increased the prize of Class A games, which is your crane games or your games you see at a Chuck E. Cheese, from $5 to $50. It also offered regulated industries and protections under the Administrative Procedures Act, and a few other things is what it did, putting guardrails on the industry, adding more transparency to the industry. But after long debate and going back and forth within this chamber and with the House, my amendment number 4, it deletes lines 34 through lines 294 and essentially only leaves the APA portion in the bill. And essentially, so what it would do if we adopt amendment number 4, it would only leave the Administrative Procedures Act in the bill. The Administrative Procedures Act for the COAM division under the Georgia Lottery Corporation, this will make the process regarding rules and regulations more transparent, giving stakeholders the right to give input. The Georgia Lottery would have to comply with the Administrative Procedures Act only when acting as a regulator for COAM. This would not apply to traditional lottery games like scratch-offs and others. AP would be allowed for a more transparent rulemaking process with notice in writing with a period, so the master licensee or the tenant or the location owner would have time to respond in writing. It affords the lottery a recognizable standards with rules when there's challenges between licensees and location owners as well. With that, Mr. President, be happy to answer any questions or yield the well.
You have no questions, Senator, but would you like to speak to your amendment?
Yes, sir, I did.
You did? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
to
you have no questions, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 46 to speak to his amendments. Senator from the 18th, what purpose do you rise?
Sorry.
You got the bill handle? Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't see this on our desk, that it was coming this quickly, so I'm trying to get my notes together on the amendments that we have. A couple things about COAM. We've spent some time on this subject matter over the last few years. These are coin-operated amusement machines. They're essentially slot machines. You see them in the grocery stores and, well, the convenience stores and gas stations. They're usually back in the back in the dark areas, and sometimes you'll see people sitting there at them for hours, and sometimes you'll see them where they're just empty, where nobody's even playing on them. They are pretty close to slot machines. They try to tell you that they're a game of skill, but I can tell you in other states they call this distributed gaming. And what that is one owner of the slot machines distributes them in many locations around the state rather than putting them in one central location like a casino. This bill does several things to really put that industry on steroids, so to speak. Right now, if you play a coin-operated amusement machine and you win, you're only paid in merchandise at the store. They're promotional, and that was their intention. They're controlled through the Georgia Lottery, so the proceeds The profits go to the master licensees that own the machines. They go to the location licensees that put the machines out for the public to play. And only 10% goes to the Lottery Commission to be distributed amongst pre-K programs and Hope Scholarships. That's vastly different than most of the rest of the nation. For example, in Illinois, they divide the proceeds 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. The state of Illinois gets 1/3 of the profits. The master licensees that own the machines get 1/3 of the profits. And the location licensees that have their machines there for play get 1/3 of the profits. And that's much closer to what the state of Georgia's statutes require the Lottery Commission to earn on the draw games and the scratch-off games, those lottery games. We have a statute that requires them to generate 35% return to the state, or as close as practicable. They have not been very good at doing that over the years. At one time, they were down to receiving only 23 to 25%. Finally, here in the last few years, they're getting up closer to 26 or 27%. The national average of lotteries is 30%. When you're talking about $6 billion in sales, that's a lot of money. When we had our problem with the lottery funding going down and not able to fund Hope Scholarships as high as we once did, one time we got down to about 80%. Now, thank goodness, with this governor, we're back up to 100% funding of our Hope Scholarships. But at one time when money was down, I had done the math on that, an extra 5%, about 50 million a percentage point, would have gotten us up another 250 million, and we would have never had to cut the lottery. What you have now is you have a situation where the lottery is generating over $6 billion a year in sales and $1.5 billion in profits. And that goes to Hope and pre-K. The same department is running these slot machines, the COAM machines, that they're getting 10% of the profits, but I think you're going to hear Senator from the 52nd run through the numbers that it's really more like 3% of the sales. So we are cannibalizing ourselves. We are offering products that pay significantly lower return to our taxpayers than scratch-off tickets do or draw games do. It's crazy for us to incentivize this and try to increase play on these machines for this piddly little return. So Amendment 2 that I'll speak to first changes that to be more in line with Georgia law and with the national norms, what happens in other states. So you'll see on line 7, it raises the percentage going to the state to 35% to be in sync with what our statute requires and what other states do, so that if people decide to play COAMs more, instead of their spending their money on scratch-offs or draw games, at least the state will generate the same income from it. And it takes the remainder and it splits it between the master licensee and the location licensee at 32.5% each. It's important to know that because people cannot spend their winnings on anything other than merchandise, we do not let them buy alcohol with it, and we do not let them buy tobacco products with it. But we do let them buy lottery tickets with their winnings. And there are vendors that say in many stores over 50% of the lottery tickets sold are from winnings on the COAM games. And that's the other big problem with this bill, and I'll speak briefly to Amendment 4. This completely changes the industry. So instead of now turning in your winnings like a ticket as if you were in Chuck E. Cheese, for a prize, you can now get a gift card. You can get a debit card, essentially, that spends just like cash anywhere in the world. So you no longer have to spend it at the store that's trying to get your business, and you can spend it on alcohol, food, anything else you want to buy. So we get rid of those limitations that we've put on it so far. It makes it more like casino gambling, just a row of 6 slot machines in every corner convenience store instead of in a casino. I believe you're going to end up with more sales, and that's why the industry's been pushing this for a couple of years. And you're going to end up reducing your lottery ticket sales. So you're going to give up something that you're making 27% for something that you're making 3%, unless we pass Amendment 2. Amendment 4 makes it even simpler. Continue with the COAM machines, whatever other changes are in the bill, but don't allow these gift cards. That is changing the nature of this game to promoting widespread gambling in the state of Georgia without any citizen input on that. So what I would ask you to vote yes for Amendment 2 to give the state of Georgia a fair return on its investment here, and I would ask you to vote yes for Amendment 4. I believe that's the one that deletes. Is that the wrong one? It says Dixon. It's Dixon, though? Is that the gift cards? It deletes 34 through 294, which are the gift card portions. And with that, I'll take any questions there may be.
I'm sorry, Senator, I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I'm happy to take any questions, Mr. President.
You do have a question. Senator from the 26th. Senator from the 16th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Yield.
I yield.
Let me ask this. The current situation is that our gift card are in a merchandise giving, and we're going to give them, and as I understand it, now a debit card or a card that can be converted into cash. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What would keep a store or a vendor from taking that card and cashing it and keeping money back on that card? Is there any provision to keep that from becoming kind of a discount on cash cards, if you will, and converting that money just to play the machines again?
I've heard many anecdotes that is what happens with many folks, that they'll trade a discounted amount of cash for a card.
So they could cash the card to play the machines more?
Well, you can get cash money for the card if you can talk somebody into buying your card from you.
So
and if you give them a discounted price, they probably would do that.
It becomes an underground type currency, really is what it becomes, that we don't have now, to buy whatever needs to be done, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or whatever. We then convert those prize winnings back into something that can be not traced.
I think so.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Senator, you have no more questions.
Thank you. I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 52nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. The previous senator was being generous when he said 10%. The hope is 27%. Yeah, it should be more than that, but it's 27% of the gross amount. The COAMs is 10% of the net amount, which is around 30%. So it's of the gross total of sales is 3% is what the state gets versus 27% on the hope. If this passes, a COAM that's hurting us because it's cannibalizing the lottery will hurt us even more, because then those cards will be used as cash to go elsewhere, whereas right now they can be used for lottery tickets. It will decrease sales of the cash cow for hope. that we get 27% of, it will hurt children going to school if we pass this in this form. In 2013, when this was voted in and South Carolina voted it down and took all the machines out, everybody said there's no way they'll get cash from these. We've got a system that won't allow it. Now the solution is to give them cash so that they can get it in the form of a credit card and be used as a card for cash. And again, since they can swap them in right now for lottery tickets, there will be less of that done and more keeping the cash, and less children will be able to get 100% hope from this bill. This is a terrible bill. It will hurt the Hope Lottery if we pass that. I yield the will.
Senator from the 4th, you wish to speak on the measure?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to say a couple quick things on this. If this is such a bad, if the co-am machines is such a bad deal, we got $145 million last year went to the lottery. $145 million went to the lottery. And if you talk to the lottery people that have put in these gift cards, they'll tell you that they are exceeding expectations. And the most you can put in a machine at one time is $5. You can't sit there and do it forever and ever and ever and put in $100, $500, $1,000. You put in $5 a time. So it limits it. The great thing about it for me, if I was playing the gift card, would be that I could stop by and pick up my laundry on the way home. I could take my wife out to dinner that night. I could buy gas. And yes, you are taking money away from the stores right there, but you're taking it and putting it in other stores. So the sale, you're not losing the sales tax, they're going to another store. This is a good bill. We need to pass this. This will add more money to the lottery and will help educate our children. Please press green on this bill. Thank you.
I recognize the senator from the 26th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. This thing's been going around 25 years. 25 years. Let me tell you what used to happen. They used to give gift certificates. When they gave the gift certificates, you didn't have a problem about folks paying out cash. You didn't have DAs going around the stores, putting up yellow tape, locking folks up, taking money for illegal payouts. Now, what the gift card does is this. Takes the cash out the game. Be like a debit card. But if you want to go on the black market and try to sell it for less than what it's worth, then go right ahead. But it will allow you to go to Walmart, go to the grocery store to get some groceries. It will allow you to do things, and you will get a tick in the sales tax. Because when you spend them and when you use them, you got to pay the sales tax on the product. You got to pay the sales tax. They pay one of the highest taxes. It's 10% of the gross. 10% of the gross is what the lottery gets. Then not only that, between the owner and the tenant, they got to pay taxes on their profit too. So roughly you're looking at about 17%. Is what you're looking at. But what we are talking about is getting the DAs out the game rather than locking up folks for illegal payouts. You got a card now that you'll be able to take to Walmart or Kroger or somewhere and spend it. And of course you got to pay the sales tax. So we will have an uptick in sales tax revenue and that we not raise the taxes on anybody. That's what this bill does. That's what it does. This 25 years ago. And the reason I can tell you about it, I did a filibuster on it. Roy Bonds, and we were called back in special session to deal with Coam. And we've had nothing but problems. When we gave the gift certificate, we didn't have any problems with it, and business was fine. And so what I'm saying to you, this is a chance to not have folks locked up for illegal paying out of cash, and they can get these cards. And let's talk about it. They're not playing for sardines. They're playing to get something. They are playing to get something. And you use the card to do it. And we get the sales tax off the card, because when they use the card to buy products, they have to pay the sales tax with it. Now that's what it does. Everybody come with all these excuses about it. The problem is it's been cash payout, and once we stopped giving the gift certificates, we had the problem about the cash payout. Now you take it to the card. They find out that the cards do work. The cards do work, and we do get an uptick in sales tax money. And that's all it does. And what I would ask you to do is vote for the gentleman's amendment to the bill and defeat all other amendments. Defeat them. Plain out, defeat them. Let's deal with the card and take the cash out the game.
Senator from the 28th would like to ask you a question. I believe the man from Macon. Well, here he comes back. Here he comes back.
I'm not scared of you.
Senator, you better be. Do you yield, Senator?
I do.
Senator, would you say this bill is all about the money?
It's all about the Benjamins. And you know what a Benjamin is. That's the face on a $100 bill.
I ain't seen one of them in a long time, Senator. Is that
Well, you need to get out the poorhouse.
Senator, you further yield?
I do, Senator.
How do you do that? Get out the po house.
Go make you some money. Play the lottery. Hit the numbers. You got to play some numbers. The only thing I can tell you, you can't hit the number got to hit you.
I sat beside him for 10 years. I can tell you right now, when I asked him to make change for me one day, he said, I thought 100 was change, you know. All right, Senator, you don't have any more questions.
Thank you.
I think I know where you are on this vote, though.
There's no question about it. I'm voting for the amendment, and I'm going to vote for the bill and vote against all other amendments.
All right, Senator has yielded. All right. I recognize the senator from the 42nd to speak to her amendment.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I want to present Amendment 3. Hopefully everyone has received it and can find it on their desk. This amendment is simply to ensure transparency and consistency by the Georgia Lottery Corporation in its dealing with all of the various coin-operated amusement machine business interests. Under this amendment, if a licensee or another business interest comes to GLC and requests an opinion on whether certain practices are considered legal and proper under the law or regulations, if the Lottery Corporation renders an opinion, it must actually publish that opinion on its website so that all interested parties within the COAM industry will be aware of what is and what is not permitted. Examples of when that happens is when it interprets a statute administered by it or any rule or regulation adopted thereunder, makes a recommendation about possible enforcement, or whether an exception should be granted. And this just makes it so that everyone is aware who's within the industry what the GLC has said is and is not legal, so everyone can be on the same page and abide by the same rules. So it's just a transparency amendment. Happy to answer any questions if any of my colleagues have any.
You have a question from the senator from 26.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the Senator,
Certainly, to my good friend from Macon.
isn't it true, Senator, I misspoke. I signed that amendment, but everyone likes the Dixon Amendment and felt like that if the Dixon Amendment passed, then that would not be necessary if we defeated all other amendments.
I understand what the senator is saying. Thank you, Senator. Happy to answer any further questions or yield the well.
Senator yields well.
Yield the well. Thank you so much.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. I recognize the senator from the 45th to close debate.
Thank you, Mr. President. One thing I do want to make clear that the gift card is already legal. I'm holding one here issued by the Georgia Lottery Corporation. It's a MasterCard. Simply what this bill originally was going to do, it was going to codify this in law. This is currently an executive order. They are being used throughout the state. They've been being rolled out since last session or since last summer. They are very popular. Some of the issues that we're seeing, if there's a store on one corner that's using the state-issued gift card, and then if you've got a store on another corner, and I've had several of these issues arise and heard countless stories, the convenience store across the street is not using the gift card, still using the just basically the receipt that you get in the store, and you can use it for buying anything on premise. There's an issue with some of those stores giving cash inducements or cash payouts. This gift card would eliminate that, and you'll see that now where you've got the gift card being used, and across the street where it's not, all the folks are gambling or using the COAM machines across the street where they don't have the gift card. If we legalize the gift card, it would level the playing field. It would do away with a lot of the inducements and a lot of the issues within the industry. Just wanted to say that to you, but also wanted to make you aware. I know some of y'all are hearing from the senator from the 26, and I couldn't agree with you more and all with your statement. He called it the Dixon Amendment. It's actually Amendment number 4. It does delete. There were 8 provisions we had in the bill originally. It deletes 7 of those. It just leaves the APA in there. So I'm strongly urging you to vote no on the first 3 amendments. Vote yes for Amendment 4. Mr. President, be happy to answer any questions or yield the well. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.
All right. So the previous question has been ordered, and the senator from the 45th has closed debate. We're going to go. On the amendments. We're going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to start with Amendment 2. The question is on the adoption of Amendment 2. Is there objection to Amendment 2? There is objection to Amendment 2. All those in favor of Amendment 2 will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the adoption of Amendment 2, the yeas are 25, the nays are 29, and this amendment has failed. The question is on the adoption of Amendment 3. Amendment 3, authored by the senator from the 42nd. Is there objection to Amendment 3? There is objection to Amendment 3. Y'all want to do a hand raise on this? Y'all want it on the board? All those in favor of Amendment 3 will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 26th, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, isn't it true I've been mistaken that the Dixon Amendment, this is the wrong bill? I thought I was right.
The senator knows of what he speaks. On the adoption of Amendment 3, the yeas are 24 and the nays are 31, and Amendment 3 has failed. Now we're on to Amendment 4, and if Amendment 4 passes, there will be no need to take up Amendment 1. That's why we went out of order. So the question is on the adoption of Amendment 4, is there objection? Is there objection? There is objection. All those in favor of Amendment 4 will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 26th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. President, isn't it true that the Dixon Amendment would straighten out the entire bill and let us go to using a card and get the cash out the game?
Senator knows this subject matter barely better than anybody. On the adoption of Amendment 4, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 2, and this amendment has prevailed. So now that gives us no reason to take up Amendment 1. So Amendment 1 will be put to the side. Question is on the adoption of the committee substitute as amended. Is there objection to the adoption of the committee substitute as amended? Hearing none, the committee substitute as amended is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Question is on the passage of the bill by substitute. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. I recognize the senator from 26. For what purpose do you rise? On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 5. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed by substitute. All right, we're going to take up a few special actions. I recognize Senator from the 19th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate agree to Senate Bill 73.
The Senator has moved that the Senate agree to Senate Bill 73 as amended by the Senate. I recognize the Senator from the 50th.
Thank you,
For
Mr.
purpose, you
President.
rise.
I move that the Senate agree to the bill as amended by the Senate.
All right. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 73 by Senator Tillery of the 19th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to general provisions relative to telephone service so as to provide for class action suits and for damages against certain persons for violating provisions. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 73, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to public utilities and public transportation so as to provide for class action suits and for damages against certain persons.
Recognize Senator from the 50th.
Senator Hatch of the 50th offers the following amendment, Amendment 1, to amend the House Committee on Rules substitute to Senate Bill 73 by replacing line 1 with the following, to amend Chapter 6 of Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to superior courts generally. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize Senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. What this amendment does is something similar to a bill that we passed earlier, Senate Bill 259. I've got a local county that's been asking me for 3 years, and this has been an issue going on for 20 years, to move from one judicial circuit to another. We passed it out with only 2 no votes last time. I'd really appreciate you guys if you could help me and get this one through. And with that, Mr. President, I will yield the will.
Senator has yielded the well. You waive? Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the motion? All those in favor of the senators from the 50s motion will vote yay. Will vote the yay switch. All those opposed, the nay switch. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passes of the motion, the yeas are 53 and nays are 1, and this bill has received the requisite majority and is considered passed. Senator from the 45th, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, just wanted to ask that HB 353 be immediately transmitted to the House.
Yes, automatically done, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 31st for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House amendment to the Senate amendment to House Bill 340.
Senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House amendment on House Bill 340. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 340 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Subpart 2 of Part 6 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to conditions of employment in elementary and secondary education so as to provide for daily duty-free planning periods for teachers in grades 6 through 12. The House offers the following amendment to amend the Senate Floor Amendment 1 by deleting lines 1 through 27. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 31st.
Thank you, Mr. President. House Bill 340 we voted on earlier. If you remember, there's school board language, an amendment, cleanup language from the governor. The underlying bill deals with teacher planning, and we're also extending the sunset to the Public Education Innovation Fund Foundation. With that, Mr. President, I yield the will.
Would any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. All those in favor of the senator's position on House Bill 340 will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of HB 340, the yeas are 48 and nays are 4. And this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 30th for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we adhere to the Senate position and appoint a conference committee.
Senator has moved that we adhere to the Senate position and appoint a conference committee on House Bill 540. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 514 by Representative Washburn of the 144th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 66 of Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, relating to zoning procedures so as to provide for the length and renewal of moratoriums related to zoning decisions. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the motion? With no objection, the conferee shall be Senator from the 30th, Senator from the 21st, and Senator from the 45th on the conferees. Recognize the senator from Recognize Senator from the 9th for a motion. Senator from the 9th for a motion.
Mr. President, I motion to agree on.
Senator from the 9th has motion to agree.
Move to agree. Sorry, I was talking. Senate Bill 35.
Senator from the 9th has moved that she agreed to Senate Bill 35. Senator from the 49th, what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, I move we agree as amended to Senate Bill 35.
Senator from the 49th has moved that we agree as amended, and that take precedence. So, Senator, if you'd like to speak on behalf of the bill, you may. Senator from the 49th. Oh, hey, I'm sorry, Senator. Just sit right tight right there. Let's read the caption real quick. Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 35 by Senator Merritt of the 9th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 40-2-86 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to special license plates promoting or supporting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations with proceeds dispersed to the general fund in the agency fund or nonprofit corporation so as to establish a specialty license plate. The House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 35, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 4 of Chapter 5 of Title 28 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, Senator Eccles of the 49th offers the following amendment. Amendment 1 to amend the House Committee on Rules substitute to Senate Bill 35 by striking lines 1 through 226 and inserting in lieu thereof the following. To amend Article 7 of Chapter 4 of Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Now I recognize the senator from the 49th. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. Earlier this session, this body voted everyone except Colton, the senator from the 50, whatever, the mountains, in favor of this bill. This is the glucose monitor, continuous glucose monitor bill for Medicaid patients. This is a project that we worked on. We've got the approval with the governor's office, with the Department of Community Health, and now I need your support on this one as well. And I yield.
Senator yields. Would any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. The motion is that the senator from the 49th has moved that SB 35, agree to SB 35 as amended by the Senate. Is there objection? Without objection. All those in favor of the measure will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 47, the nays are 3, and this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 52nd for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we lift House Bill 408 off the table. I'm sorry, Senate Bill 408.
Senators move that we lift Senate Bill 408, or House Bill 408, off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 408 by Representative Williamson of the 112th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-8-3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to exemptions from sales and use tax so as to change the sunset provision for the exemption for competitive projects of regional significance. The Committee of the Senate on Finance recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Huffstetler of the 52nd District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 52nd.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the bill that actually the governor in here was asking about tonight. It was passed in 2017 and 19, and I believe 21, and it's the exact same language. It's our big projects that we do that have special considerations. This bill extends the sunset to 2026. There's no change in the language from what it's been all the other years. If there's no questions, I'll yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 53rd with a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the senator yield?
I'll yield.
And perhaps I could have asked you these questions while you were sitting next to me, but you kind of surprised me when you put this off the table. So can you elaborate on what taxes are being exempted? Is it like, for example, if it's a project of regional significance, I would assume there's going to be a bulldozer there. And is there going to be a tax, like a yearly property tax exemption on that bulldozer? Or is it just a sales tax when they sell the bulldozer?
It's a competitive project, so there could be state money put in. It could be sales tax. It could be different things. There's only been 18 of them in the history of Georgia. These are used very selectively, but it has about 75% of them are outside the Atlanta metro area that have been done. It's brought in thousands and thousands of jobs. That's about what I can tell you on it.
Okay. Thank you, Senator.
Recognize the senator from the second, please. Or you can yield the well.
Thank you, Senator. Do you yield?
I yield.
Senator, I just have a few questions about what is regional significance as it relates to this bill. We got a lot of projects coming down I-16, and I've got concern about this tax exemption as to who is it going to benefit. Can you speak to that?
It's competition with other states, and so sometimes there's some special things that have to be done on projects that meet a certain criteria of large amounts. I don't know, but I think that you've probably got, a pretty good one down that way. Since it's in aggregate data, but I think you've had a good project probably that way out of this, and they've been good for Georgia. This is the same language we've used. We're the #1 state to do business. I believe it's about 31,000 jobs that have come in through this in aggregate. And I'll yield the well.
Senator's yielded the well. Senator from the 37th, for what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
I'm just trying to understand what this bill does. I don't understand what the tax benefit is. It's just basic question. I think we got to have clarity on it. I mean, the gentleman has every right to yield the well. I'm sure it's good policy. I just need to understand what I'm pushing green or red on, Mr. President.
Well, Senator, it's right there in your book where you can read it. So, any senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Recognize the senator from the 17th. What purpose do you rise?
Ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 19th or business outside of the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 19th is excused. Is there objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. The question is on the passage of the bill. All those in favor vote yea. Opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 43 and nays are 6. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize the senator from the 49th for a motion. House Bill 318.
Is it on the table? It's asked to remove House Bill 318 from the table.
Senators move to ask for House Bill 318 be taken off the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 318 by Representative Hilton of the 48th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elementary and secondary education, so as to provide for the reestablishment of the Office of Charter Schools Compliance under the State Charter Schools Commission. Committee of the Senate on Education and Youth recommends that this bill do pass. Respectfully submitted by Senator Dixon of the 45th District Chairman.
We have 3 amendments. Go ahead and read them. I don't know if there's a committee sub though.
Senator Dixon of the 45th and others offer the following amendment. Amendment 1 to amend House Bill 318 by inserting after applicability on line 17 the following to amend Code Section 20-2-506. Senator Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others offer the following amendment. Amendment 2 to amend House Bill 318 by inserting after so as on line 2 to revise the eligibility criteria. Senator Dixon of the 45th offers the following amendment. Amendment 3 to amend the substitute to House Bill 318 by inserting after applicability on line 17 the following to amend Code Section 20-2-506 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize the senator from the 49th. What's the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a bill that I'm carrying for a House member. House Bill 318 is a cleanup bill that addresses issues raised by charter schools and charter school authorizer. The most substantial change addressed in this bill appears in Section 5. Section 5 eliminates a funding and service redundancy in state government by shifting all charter school oversight responsibilities to a single agency, the State Charter Schools Commission, the state agency solely focused on charter school authorization and oversight. Currently, Georgia Department of Education is charged with oversight responsibility for local charters, and the SCSC oversees the state charters. But this shift consolidates staff and resources into a single state agency to ensure greater efficiency and stronger support for schools. It also ensures local boards. Okay, so it's great. And I ask for your support.
All right. No questions, Senator. No questions.
All right, I'll yield. Thank you.
I recognize the senator from the 31st. Speak to the measure.
Thank you, Mr. President. Amendment number 2. If you want to support our Lowell schools and help them build new projects in their counties, vote green.
Recognize senator from the 45th. Speak to the amendments. Yes, Senator. You can do it from there. You can do it here. Come on, babe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, first, I would like to move that Amendment 1 be withdrawn.
Senator has asked that Amendment 1 be withdrawn. Is there objection? Without objections, Amendment 1 is withdrawn. You want to speak to Amendment 2 and 3?
Was that quick enough? Thank you, Mr. President. I'm bringing amendment number 3 before you. Amendment number 3, it originally was in House Bill 306, and all it does is it allows schools to be able to enter into performance contracts for energy saving, contracts for construction on things like replacing water meters, solar panels, EV charging stations, and LED scoreboards that they could use for entertainment. I'm being told to get out of the well. Mr. President, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Otherwise, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions,
Thank you, Mr.
Senator.
President.
All right, here we go. The question is on, does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Chair hears none. Is there objections to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Question is on amendment number 2 from the senator from the 45th. Is there objection to amendment number 2? Without objection, amendment number 2 is adopted. On amendment 3 from the senator from the 45th, is there objection to amendment 3? Without objection, amendment 3 is adopted. Is there objection to agreeing to the report of committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Is there objection to the main question being ordered? Chair hears none. The main question is ordered. Questions on the passage of the bill as amended. All those in favor vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 17th, be on ready. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 3, and this bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed as amended. Recognize the senator from the 17th.
I move that House Bill 444 be removed from the table.
Senator is asking for 444 to be removed from the table. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 444 by Representative Reeves of the 99th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 9 of Chapter 14 of Title 44 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to lease pendants so as to revise when an action may operate as a lease pendants, to provide for related matters, to provide for applicability, to repeal conflicting laws. The Committee of the Senate on Judiciary recommends that this bill do pass, respectfully submitted by Senator Strickland of the 17th District. Chairman, that completes the order, Mr. President.
Recognize the senator from the 17th.
It's a property lawyer bill you all voted for last year. It deals with liens on properties litigation. It creates due process. Everybody loves it. Vote for it.
Everybody loves lawyer bills. Anybody like to speak for or against the measure? Chair hearing none. All those in favor of the bill vote yes. All those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 3rd, be on standby. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and the nays are 0. This bill, having received requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Senator from the 3rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that Senate Rule 2-8.3B be suspended to allow for a conference committee report to be considered.
He's asked that rules be suspended. Secretary, read the caption.
Committees of Conference substitute to Senate Bill 246, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 7 of Chapter 3 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to Georgia Student Finance Authority, so as to complete the order.
I recognize the senator from the 3rd.
We presented Senate Bill 246 earlier. We had a disagreement with the House. We've made nice, and everybody's agreed.
All right, you're out there, Senator. You got it. All those in favor of the motion vote yea. All those opposed. Are y'all ready? All those in favor vote aye. Any objections? We got a senator. Yeah. We have objection to suspending the rules from the senator from the 47th. All those in favor of the senator from the 47th motion will vote yea. All those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator, for what purpose you rise? Senator from 47th.
Mr. President, parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
The motion to suspend Senate rules, if you vote green, you're suspending the rules. If you vote red, you're going to keep our rules in play.
Senator knows what he speaks. So the motion is now the conference committee report is in order. It's in order now. So Senator has moved to adopt the conference committee report. All those in favor of that motion, vote yes. All those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Sergeant Arms, please secure the doors. Shut the doors for us, please. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 53 and the nays are 1, and this bill has received the requisite constitutional majority and therefore it passed. Recognize the senator from the 14th.
Mr. President, I move the Senate agree to the House substitute of Senate Bill 115.
The senator has moved that we agree to Senate Bill 114. Secretary, read the caption. 115. Tell Goodman be ready.
Mr. President, thank you. This has nothing to do with the National Guard. It has nothing to do with booting cars. What this is the House just fixed something that's really important. The Attorney General had a settlement. Water rights belong to the people of Georgia. They don't belong, when they're navigable, they don't belong to the private property owners who are hundreds of yards offshore. This restores the law to the way it's always been. Mr. President, I yield the will.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 115 by Senator McLaurin of the 14th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 3 of Chapter 2 of Title 38 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to rights, privileges, and prohibitions so as to provide for the Adjutant General to be the official sponsor of the state-sponsored life insurance program for the Georgia National Guard. That completes the order, Mr. President.
All those in favor of whatever the 14th, the senator from the 14th just said. I recognize the senator from 53rd. What purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, as the senator from the 14th stated earlier, we have done our constitutional duty. We have passed a budget. I motion that we adjourn sine die.
Hold that thought, Senator. Hold that thought. All right. All those in favor of the senator's motion will on SB 115 will vote yay. All those opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. State your inquiry.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. President.
State your inquiry.
Isn't it true that this bill is good for the state of Georgia? It's good for conserving fisheries, and that I am in support of this bill as the floor leader of Governor Kemp.
Senator is singing Kumbaya. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Recognize a senator from the 8th.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that Senate Rule 2-8-3 be suspended to allow for the consideration of a conference committee report.
The senator has moved that his conference committee report. What's it?
What an ass.
Has he got it? He's moved that 189 rules be suspended. Secretary, read the caption. This is the last one, too, guys.
Committees of Conference substitute to House Bill 189, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 of Title 32 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to dimensions and weight of vehicles and loads so as to provide for an allowable variance. That completes the order, Mr. President.
The senator from the 8th has moved that the rules be suspended. We have objection from the senator from the 47th. All those in favor of the rules being suspended will vote yea. All those who are with the senator from the 47th will vote no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Senator from the 47th, what purpose do you rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Would not suspending the rules here kill people, kill our roads, and kill infrastructure in our state?
I don't know,
This is
Senator.
a bad idea.
It looks like there's a lot of your colleagues that like it.
HB 189.
Senator, restate your motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I move that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on House Bill 189.
Senator has moved that the Senate adopt the conference committee report on HB 189. Senator, would you like to speak to it?
This bill is a compromise. It has the support of the majority leader. It has the support of the transportation chairman in our body, and it has the support of all three of the members of the conference committee from the House. Simply goes from 1 year to a 2-year sunset. I yield the will.
I recognize my good friend from Macon, Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a bad bill. It's a bad bill. They took out, did a 120-mile radius around the metro area. But let me say something to you. Watermelon trucks don't carry no gravel. They don't carry no tar. They don't carry no dirt. Log trucks don't carry gravel. They don't carry tar, and they don't carry dirt. And now you're going to brush everybody except one group with a broom. So what you're doing, you're killing the folks. The governor allowed everybody to be part of participating in making money,
And all of a sudden, the only folks can do it is folks in agriculture. That ain't what this is about. It's about all of our folks being able to survive. They have license. It's about the payload. You get paid by the payload. And this is a bad bill to do this for 2 years. If you need to fix the bridges, fix them. And stop making excuses about it.
Mm-hmm. All right, Senator, we got the point. Here we go. Recognize the majority leader.
Mr. President, I move the question.
Senator has moved the question. Move the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? Ayes clearly have it. All those in favor of the bill will vote yea. Opposed, no. Secretary, unlock the machine. Yeah. Doorkeeper, you can open the doors now. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 37, the nays are 16, and this motion has prevailed, and the Senate has adopted the 189 Conference Committee. We got time for one more. Senator from the 17th.
Really? 120.
Whatever you want, Senator.
Soapbox bill. What is a soapbox bill? I move to move 126 off the table.
Senator has moved to bring the soapbox bill off the table. So, oh, never mind. It's a lawyer bill. Sorry. Senator from the 17th. Do what? Secretary, read the caption. Hold on.
Well,
House Bill 126 by Representative Smith of the 18th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 of Title 5 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to appellate practice so as to change a provision relating to judgments deemed directly appealable. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Without objection, I recognize Senator from the 17th.
At least now I know what it is. This is a good criminal law bill you're all going to love. Vote for it.
Everybody loves the lawyer bills. All those in favor will vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, lock the machine. We got to adopt a committee substitute. All those in favor of the committee substitute will say aye. All those opposed, no. Ayes clearly have it. Now we're moving on to the passes. All those in favor of the bill vote yea. All those opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 46 and nays are 7. I recognize the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand adjourned. Sine die.
The majority leader has moved. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? The ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned.